Across the Galactic Council chambers, every species brings their fiercest predators. The Vraxians bring armored death beetles that can slice through steel. The Corthians bring acid-spitting serpents. The Zelnari bring crystalline scorpions with neurotoxins that drop a target in seconds. Then humanity shows up with a small, fuzzy animal that weighs 30 pounds. The aliens laughed. They actually laughed. But the truth behind this will shock you. Because what happened next in the interspecies combat trials changed everything the galaxy thought they knew about Earth. That pet took down a 12-foot Gorvok war lizard in under 3 minutes. It survived a plasma burn that should have killed it instantly. And it did something so terrifying that 3 alien ambassadors demanded humans be banned from ever bringing Earth creatures off-planet again. Here's what you're about to discover. First, why honey badgers are literally built different at a genetic level, with adaptations so extreme they seem designed by a combat engineer. Second, the classified incident where this single animal forced an entire galactic military doctrine to be rewritten. And third, the real reason aliens fear Earth more than any other death world in known space. This isn't science fiction. This is humanity, fuck yeah. The honey badger didn't care about the rules. It didn't care about the size difference. It didn't care that everyone was watching. And by the end of that trial, neither did humanity's reputation. They called us weak. They called us soft-skinned deathworlders with fragile bones. Then they met Earth's definition of don't care. Let me show you exactly how this happened. The year is 2247. Humanity joined the Galactic Council just 8 months ago. We're the new kids, the untested species. Every alien civilization watches us like we're a bomb that might go off. Here's why that matters. In galactic politics, respect isn't given. It's earned through the combat trials. Every species brings their apex predator. Not trained war beasts. Not genetically modified killers. Natural creatures from their homeworld. The rules are simple. Your animal enters the arena. It fights whatever the council throws at it. How your creature performs determines your species' military credibility. The Vraxians brought their death beetle 20 years ago. It won 17 consecutive matches. The Corthians brought acid serpents that dominated for a decade. Even the peaceful Luminari brought creatures that earned them defensive treaty rights. Earth's turn finally came. Commander Sarah Chen stood before the council with a reinforced travel crate. Inside was Rufus, a honey badger from the Kalahari Desert. 32 pounds of muscle, claws, and attitude. The alien delegates looked at their data screens. They saw the size. They saw the weight class. They saw a joke. This is your apex predator? The Vraxian ambassador's translator crackled with what sounded like laughter. We've seen your archived nature footage. These creatures eat insects? Honey. Chen smiled. You've seen what they eat. You haven't seen what they survive. Here's the first surprise. The Galactic Council had done their homework wrong. They researched honey badger diet. They researched habitat. They even researched population numbers. But they made one critical mistake. They researched like scientists, not soldiers. No one looked at the combat footage, the attacks on lions, the fights with leopards, the documented cases of honey badgers surviving porcupine quills through their skulls, taking cobra bites that would kill a human in minutes, then waking up and eating the cobra. The second surprise? Chen knew exactly what she was doing. She'd spent 6 months studying every combat trial in Council history. She knew the patterns. Big, armored creatures. Slow but devastating. Built to intimidate. Rufus was built to not care about intimidation. The third surprise came when they opened the crate. Rufus stepped into the arena, looked around, yawned, then urinated on the ceremonial combat circle. The aliens didn't laugh anymore. Now here's where things get really interesting. The combat trial system works on escalation. Round 1 is always a controlled match. Your creature faces a standard opponent. For most species, this is where they showcase raw power or defensive abilities. The council selected a Krovic War Hound for Rufus. 7 feet tall, 300 pounds. Bred for arena combat on a high-gravity world. Claws like daggers. Bite force that could crush titanium alloy. The betting pools opened. Rufus was rated 847 to 1 against. The lowest odds in combat trial history. Then the match started. The War Hound charged. Standard intimidation tactic. Most small creatures freeze or flee. Rufus did neither. He ran directly at the hound. No hesitation. No fear response. Here's what the council didn't know about honey badger biology. Their skin is loose. Not just thick. Loose. A predator can bite down, think it has a killing grip, but the honey badger can literally turn around inside its own skin and counterattack. The War Hound learned this in 5 seconds. It clamped onto Rufus's back. Standard kill technique. But Rufus twisted, rotated inside his own skin like a furry drill bit, and tore into the hound's face. Specifically the eyes. Honey badgers always go for eyes first. Its instinct burned into them by millions of years fighting everything from hyenas to leopards. The hound released. Too late. Rufus climbed the creature like a mountain. Claws dug into flesh. He reached the neck. Found the jugular. The War Hound thrashed. 300 pounds of muscle trying to shake off 30 pounds of concentrated violence. 90 seconds into the match, the War Hound collapsed. The arena went silent. Chen had warned them. Honey badgers have the most powerful jaws relative to body size of any mammal. Bite force of over 1,400 psi in a 30-pound package. That's stronger than wolves. Stronger than hyenas. Compressed into a frame that fits in a backpack. But here's the real revelation. The thing that made the council's xenobiologists start sending urgent messages. Rufus wasn't tired. After taking down a creature 10 times his size, his heart rate barely elevated. The medical scanners showed something impossible. His metabolism had kicked into a state the council had only seen in one other species across 3,000 worlds. Berserker mode. On Earth, we call it going into drive. Honey badgers have an adrenal response that's off the charts. When threatened, their bodies flood with hormones that suppress pain, boost strength, and eliminate fear response completely. They don't just fight harder. They literally stop feeling damage. The Vraxian ambassador stood up. Request immediate analysis. This creature's biological warfare capabilities exceed. It's not done yet, Chen interrupted, because the council's computer system, following standard protocol, had already selected round 2's opponent. A Gorvok war lizard. But if you think that's crazy, wait until you hear this. The Gorvok war lizard is basically nature's tank. 12 feet long. 800 pounds. Armored scales that evolved on a world where everything tried to kill everything else. It has backup lungs. A secondary heart. Redundant nervous system. You can blow off one of its limbs and it keeps fighting. The Gorvaks used these lizards to conquer 4 star systems before joining the council. These weren't arena animals. These were weapons. The council chamber erupted in protest. This was overkill. The rules said opponents should be comparable threat level. A war lizard versus a 30-pound mammal wasn't a match. It was an execution. Chun requested 10 minutes. Private consultation with Earth Command. The council agreed. Standard protocol. Most ambassadors use this time to withdraw their creature. Save face. Accept a lower military classification. Chun came back with one question. Does the lizard breathe? Obviously, the Gorvok representative said. Then we're good. Continue. Here's what Chen knew that the council didn't. Honey badgers don't hunt like normal predators. They don't ambush. They don't use pack tactics. They use psychological warfare and biological weapons. In the Kalahari, honey badgers raid beehives. Not for honey, for larvae. But to get larvae, they walk through thousands of angry bees. Stings that would hospitalize a human. The badger's skin is too thick and loose for stingers to reach vital organs. It just powers through. Then there are the cobras. Cape cobras. Black mambas. Puff adders. All of them venomous enough to kill an elephant. Honey badgers eat them regularly. Get bitten. The venom hits. The badger passes out. 2 hours later it wakes up. Eats the cobra. Goes about its day. Scientists discovered honey badgers have evolved resistance to neurotoxins, hemotoxins, and cytotoxins. Their molecular structure breaks down venom components before they reach lethal concentration. It's not immunity. It's aggressive chemical warfare at a cellular level. But that wasn't Chen's ace card. The real weapon was behavioral. Honey badgers in the wild have been documented attacking prey 20 times their size. Not for food, for territory, for principle. Because something annoyed them, they've been recorded chasing lions off kills, driving leopards up trees, fighting African rock pythons to a standstill. And they never, ever quit. The war lizard entered the arena. Its scales gleamed under the lighting. Officially rated as a Class 7 combat threat. The same classification as main battle tanks in human military doctrine. Rufus had been eating a protein bar. He looked up, dropped the bar, walked toward the lizard. The lizard charged. 800 pounds of armored death. Moving fast. Jaws open wide enough to swallow Rufus whole. Rufus waited until the last possible second. Then dodged left. Latched onto the lizard's neck. Started climbing. The lizard thrashed. Slammed Rufus against the arena wall. The impact would have killed most creatures. Broken spine. Ruptured organs. Rufus dug in deeper. The crowd watched in horror as the honey badger began tearing through armored scales. Looking for one specific target. The breathing holes. This brings us to the most shocking discovery of all. What happened next violated 3 different council regulations on biological warfare. Rufus found the lizard's respiratory openings. In Gorvok war lizards, these are protected by scale flaps. Evolutionary armor against their homeworld's toxic atmosphere. Nothing gets through those flaps. Nothing except claws designed to tear through tree bark to reach beehives. Rufus ripped through. Reached the respiratory tract. And then he did something that made xenobiologists across the galaxy immediately classify honey badgers as a bioweapon. He released his anal gland secretion directly into the lizard's lungs. Let me explain why this is absolutely insane. Honey badger anal glands produce one of the most potent chemical weapons in nature. It's not just smell. The secretion contains sulfurous compounds that cause immediate respiratory distress, temporary blindness, and intense pain response. Humans who've been sprayed compare it to military-grade tear gas mixed with pepper spray. Now imagine that pumped directly into your lungs. The war lizard went berserk. Not fighting, panicking, crashed into walls, rolled, tried to breathe through backup lungs. But Rufus had already moved to the secondary respiratory openings. Same attack, same chemical weapon delivery. 45 seconds later, the war lizard collapsed. Not dead, incapacitated, completely unable to fight. The medical team rushed in. Emergency protocols. They'd never seen a war lizard taken down non-lethally. The scans showed respiratory system inflammation, temporary paralysis of the breathing reflex, and complete sensory overload. Rufus walked away, licked his paws, found the protein bar he'd dropped earlier, kept eating. But here's the revelation that changed everything. The council's military analysts were watching. They'd seen strength. They'd seen armor. They'd seen venom resistance. All impressive. But what they witnessed in those 3 minutes was something completely different. Adaptive combat doctrine. Problem-solving under pressure. Use of chemical weapons. Psychological warfare. And complete disregard for personal safety in pursuit of objectives. The Vraxian military commander stood. That creature just demonstrated 12 distinct special forces tactics. Without training, without orders, based purely on instinct. The Korthian ambassador pulled up Earth's evolution data. This species evolved these capabilities naturally? For what purpose? Chen smiled. Surviving Africa. See, the council had been measuring the wrong thing. They looked at size, strength, armor. They thought combat was about physical superiority. But honey badgers evolved in the most competitive ecosystem in known space. The African savanna, where lions, leopards, hyenas, wild dogs, crocodiles, and venomous snakes all compete for the same resources. To survive there, you don't need to be the biggest. You need to be the most willing to fight anything. You need pain resistance, venom resistance, environmental adaptability, and the psychological profile of a creature that genuinely doesn't understand backing down. Earth didn't send its apex predator. Earth sent something scarier, a species that made apex predators think twice. The Council's threat assessment computer recalculated humanity's military classification. It jumped 17 levels, the highest increase in Council history. But then the real problem started. So what does all this mean for us today? The Council faced an unprecedented situation. The combat trials were supposed to be predictable. Big creature beats small creature. Armored creature beats unarmored creature. Venomous creature beats non-venomous creature. Rufus broke every rule they understood about combat. Within 6 hours, 12 different species filed formal complaints. Not about the honey badger specifically, about Earth's biological diversity. The Vraxians pulled archive data on Earth species. They found videos of orcas hunting great whites, wolverines fighting bears, army ants dismantling anything in their path, mantis shrimp with strike speeds that cavitate water. Your planet is classified as a death world, the Council chairman said. But these are beyond death world parameters. These are actively hostile evolutionary paths. Here's why that matters to us today. The Galactic Council operates on a tier system. Peaceful species get trade rights. Moderate species get defensive treaties. Aggressive species get monitored. Deathworld species get restricted expansion rights. Earth just jumped to a new category. Tier 1 biological threat. The same classification as the Kralvax, a species that nearly wiped out half the Council before being contained. Only 3 other species in Council history had achieved that rating. The implications were immediate. Human colony applications? Approved with minimal review. The Council wanted humans spreading out, diluting our presence, making sure we stayed contained through distribution. Trade negotiations? Suddenly favorable. No one wanted to risk conflict with a species that could potentially weaponize Earth biology. But here's the deeper consequence. Other species started reviewing their own worlds differently. The Korthians sent expeditions back to their homeworld's deep oceans. The Vraxians began studying their polar predators. Everyone was asking the same question. What else did we miss in our own evolution? Chen became humanity's chief xenobiological advisor. Her job? Educate the Council on Earth species without causing mass panic. She started with domesticated animals. Dogs, cats, horses. Each presentation caused reactions ranging from fascination to horror. You bred wolves into companions? The luminary asked. You domesticated pursuit predators and let them live in your homes? We also domesticated cats, Chen said. Ambush predators with retractable claws and night vision. Why? They're cute. The Council struggled to process human psychology. We didn't domesticate for warfare. We domesticated for companionship. We took deadly predators and turned them into family members. That wasn't just strange. It was incomprehensible to species that maintained strict predator-prey boundaries. But the real implication came when Earth Command submitted its final report on combat doctrine. The conclusion was simple but terrifying to the Council. Humanity didn't need to weaponize Earth biology. We'd been living with it, adapting to it, and thriving alongside it for millions of years. We weren't the dangerous part of Earth. We were the species that survived everything else Earth threw at us. And that made us exponentially more dangerous than any honey badger. The Council's xenopsychologists released a classified report. One line got leaked. If humans are the dominant species on Earth, what did they have to overcome to get there? Before we wrap up, there's one final thing you need to know. 3 months after the combat trials, Chen received a private message. Encrypted. Highest security clearance. From the Council's Historical Archive Division. They'd found something. A record from 2,000 years ago. The last species granted Tier 1 biological threat status. The Kralvax. Chen opened the file expecting military data. Weapons. Fleets. Standard threat assessment. Instead, she found an ecological report. The Kralvax homeworld had 73 apex predators. Their evolutionary history was constant warfare. Every species on their planet developed extreme adaptations. Armor, venom, speed, size. The crawlvax themselves evolved intelligence not for creativity or culture, for survival, for coordination, for warfare against their own planet's biology. Sound familiar? The report included one final note. The crawlvax achieved faster-than-light travel in just 400 years, half the time of any other council species. Why? Because they treated space exploration like escaping a burning building. Their whole civilization was built on the principle of anywhere is better than here. But here's the twist. The crawlvax never attacked the council. They requested peaceful integration, offered technology, shared resources, became model citizens. For 50 years. Then internal conflicts started. Disagreements over territory, resources, political power. Within a decade, the crawlvax had fractured into 17 warring factions. They turned their survival instincts on each other. The council had to intervene militarily. Containment took 40 years and cost millions of lives. The archived report ended with one line. Species that evolve through constant threat rarely understand peace. Monitor humanity closely. Chen closed the file, sat in silence. Then she opened Earth's historical database, pulled up records of human conflict, wars, revolutions. The patterns were there. The same instincts that let us survive Earth's predators showed up in how we treated each other. But there was one difference. One critical factor that separated humanity from the crawlvax. We kept trying. After every war, we built peace institutions. After every conflict, we wrote treaties. We weren't perfect. We failed constantly. But we never stopped trying to overcome our own nature. Maybe that's what really scared the council. Not that we were dangerous, but that we were dangerous and still learning, still evolving, still becoming something new. Rufus didn't care about any of this. He was retired to a wildlife preserve, eating protein bars, annoying zookeepers, living his best life. The galaxy watched humanity, wondered what we'd become. We wondered the same thing. If this opened your eyes, wait until you hear what happened next. Let's recap what we just uncovered. First, honey badgers are nature's special forces operators. Loose skin that makes them nearly impossible to grip. Bite force that exceeds wolves. Chemical weapons that can incapacitate creatures 10 times their size. And a psychological profile that fundamentally doesn't understand retreat. They evolved these capabilities not through warfare, but through sheer determination to survive Africa's deadliest ecosystem. Second, humanity's introduction to the Galactic Council changed everything. One 30-pound mammal forced a complete reassessment of Earth's threat level. We jumped 17 classification tiers in a single day. The Council realized they weren't dealing with another Deathworld species. They were dealing with a planet so competitive that everything on it evolved extreme survival adaptations. And humans were the species that came out on top. Third, the real terror isn't what Earth's creatures can do. It's the question of what humanity had to overcome to become dominant. If honey badgers are this aggressive, if our predators are this dangerous, what does it say about the species that not only survived them but thrived alongside them? We didn't just adapt to Earth. We mastered it. And finally, the twist that keeps the Council up at night. Humanity shares evolutionary history with the only other species that nearly destroyed galactic civilization. The crawlvax also came from a hyper-competitive death world. They also developed through constant survival pressure. But they couldn't overcome their own aggressive instincts. The question hanging over humanity now is simple. Can we? This story isn't just about a badass honey badger embarrassing aliens. It's about what happens when survival instinct meets intelligence. About the price of evolution in extreme environments. And about whether species like us can ever truly leave our violent origins behind. If you found this story incredible, smash that like button. This video took weeks of research into both honey badger biology and realistic sci-fi world building. Your likes tell YouTube to push this to more people who love humanity fuck yes stories. Subscribe if you want more HFY content. We're building the ultimate library of stories where humanity shows the galaxy what we're made of. from biological warfare to engineering marvels to diplomatic genius. Every video explores another way humans punch way above our weight class. Drop a comment with your answer to this question. If you could bring one Earth creature to impress aliens, what would it be and why? Mantis shrimp? Tardigrades? Orcus? I read every single comment and your answers might inspire the next video. And here's the deeper call to action. If you're ready to go beyond just watching, I've created a full HFY story collection with expanded universe content. Behind-the-scenes world-building notes, character deep dives, alternative scenarios. Link in the description. It's for the hardcore fans who want to live in these stories, not just visit them. Next video drops in 3 days. We're covering what happened when humanity introduced aliens to our concept of recreational extreme sports. Trust me, their reaction to free solo climbing will blow your mind. Until then, remember, Earth didn't make us tough. Earth made us survivors. And that's way more dangerous. See you in the next one.